When King is connected. All right. Okay, we're all live. All right, good. So we're getting ready to start. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Before we begin, Kamji, can you reduce the music a little bit? Thank you. All right, so thank you all for coming to Mr. Imhotep's memorial to honor his legacy. Before we begin, I want us to take a moment to acknowledge the land beneath us. And I want to briefly explain why we do a land acknowledgement. We do this because history did not begin with us, and we're standing on the shoulders of giants and the blood and sweat of survivors and resistors. Every land that we stand on, whether in Africa, in the Americas, in Europe, in Asia, or elsewhere, holds memory, it holds blood, it holds a story. We acknowledge that the wealth of many nations was built on extraction of land, of labor, and of bodies, and of stories. And that many of us in the diaspora are here because our ancestors were trafficked, or our lands were pillaged, and our economies destabilized by modern imperialism. Many of us are gathered tonight from lands that were stolen, from lands that were colonized, from lands where indigenous people were displaced or erased, or renamed or subjugated or silenced. And because Mr. Imhotep's life work was about correcting historical distortion, it would be incomplete for us to gather without acknowledging the histories beneath our feet. Land acknowledgement is a reminder that identity and history matter, and that truth begins with naming what was taken. For me, I live in San Diego, which is the unceded territory of the Kumaya people. But I'm currently tuning in from Houston, Texas, which is the ancestral land and unceded territory of the Karankawa, Sana, and Atakapata people. If you know whose ancestral land you stand on today, please write their names in the comments. If you don't know, you can find it on the website www.native-land.ca. www.native-land.ca. If you know it, just put the names in the chat. So tonight, wherever we're joining from, we pause to honor the indigenous peoples of those lands, the ancestors who walked them long before modern borders, those who resisted colonization and slavery, those who survived it, and those who did not survive it. We honor stolen lands, we honor colonized lands, we honor ancestral lands. We honor those whose histories were distorted, suppressed, or rewritten. And in that spirit, we gather tonight not only to mourn a man, but to honor someone who dedicated his life to correcting historical theft and restoring historical memory. Because when land is stolen, identity is destabilized. And when history is stolen, the mind is colonized. Tonight, we gather to remember a man who fought against that colonization of the mind, Mr. Imhotep, Diego Makiese Dikala. All right, so Christelle, were you going to do a quick translation for the family?
Good evening from my side too. Bonjour à tous, ou bien bonsoir. Je vais essayer de manière succincte de traduire ce que Seche a dit. Donc, il s'agit tout premièrement de pouvoir reconnaître que toute vie vient commence là où on vit et de reconnaître que ce sont des terres ancestrales à des personnes et de pouvoir se souvenir de cela. Nous nous rencontrons aujourd'hui pour commémorer la mémoire de quelqu'un qui s'est battu pour la vérité, pour restaurer l'authenticité de notre histoire, celle de l'Afrique, celle des enfants de la diaspora qui ont été trafiqués et qui aujourd'hui, malgré tout, euh, font ou bien sont de manière intégrale partie de ces pays où ils ont été amenés de force. Et euh, il s'agit de se libérer de ces chaînes qui sont malheureusement dues à une histoire tronquée. Et dans ce cadre-là, Monsieur Imhotep a joué ou bien fait partie des personnes qui jouent un rôle central. Parce qu'il a refusé le mensonge, il a travaillé pour la décolonisation des pensées, euh, il a vraiment toujours eu pour focus de rétablir la vérité telle qu'elle est, sans embâche, sans peur, sans crainte aucune. Donc, nous sommes là pour honorer la mémoire de Monsieur Imhotep, que la famille et ses amis connaissent sous le nom de Diego David Makiese Dikala. Donc, c'est ce que nous allons faire ce soir et nous sommes heureux de vous avoir parmi là. Si vous savez comment s'appellent les personnes originelles des terres sur lesquelles vous vous trouvez aujourd'hui, vous pouvez les écrire dans le chat juste par intérêt pour savoir, pour localiser un peu où chacun se retrouve. Donc, ce sera une façon un peu courte de traduire ce que Seche a dit tout à l'heure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And just for quick introductions and context, for those who don't know, Mr. Imhotep was French speaking. And so it was a real labor of love for him to do this work that he did for us in English. So he was French speaking and his entire family is French speaking. So we'll have to translate some parts of the video so that members of his family and friends who were French speaking can really be present with us. And then just introduction. I'm Queen Seche. I was one of Mr. Imhotep's patrons. And here I have with me my sister Christelle, also one of those impacted by Mr. Imhotep. All right, so thank you all, family and friends, for being here. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for showing up, not just for an event, but to celebrate a legacy. Tonight is not easy. On September 29, 2024, Diego Makiese Dikala, affectionately known to many of us as Mr. Imhotep, passed away suddenly. He was only 34 years old. He was too young, he was too brilliant, and he was too necessary for our society right now. But so here we are gathering tonight to honor a brother, a thinker, a builder, a truth teller, and somebody who gave over a decade of his life restoring African historical consciousness and recentering our narrative. So I just want to briefly share how this video came about. When I first heard of Mr. Imhotep's passing through his Patreon, a post was made in the community. I assumed there was going to be a large community memorial because of the impact of his work. I thought something was already organized, but I didn't find anything, and it dawned on me that all of us consumers of this kind of content were not necessarily very connected. And I thought for someone who had as much impact as Mr. Imhotep, his death shouldn't go quietly. We need to organize something to really collectively honor his memory. So I reached out to a few content creators, and thankfully Brother King's Monologue and Trio Black and Camjiverse that helped put me in contact with some members in this community, and we formed a very small team, you know, to help with this planning to ensure that we really honor our brother like he deserves and ensure the continuity of this work. So I know for some of you, this still feels unreal. And for some of you, this might even still be the first time you're hearing about his passing. And that speaks to an important challenge that we're facing. Although his impact was quite global, because of the circumstances surrounding his unexpected passing and the challenges with accessing his platforms, we couldn't spread the news the way we would have loved for it to be spread. So many people still don't know. That's why today we're asking you not just to attend, but also to carry this forward. Please share the news of his passing. Also share the vigil, right? If you have friends or contacts who were impacted by his work, you could text them right now, the link to the live, and have them join us. You could also share part 2, because there will be a part 2, which will be more of the community healing part. You could share that with them. And Kamji is going to put in the chat right now the link to register for part 2. Part 2, you'd have to register ahead of time, because that would be more of a community healing space. It wouldn't be a one-way broadcast. It would be all of us together. Also, we'd love for you to share the fundraiser that has been created to help the family regain control of his accounts and secure his digital archives and protect his intellectual property and continue the work that he dedicated his life to building. We'll speak more about the fundraiser shortly, later on in the program. So this is about stewardship and ensuring that his voice, his books, his research, and his mission are not lost, but that they take on a whole new life. We also chose to hold this memorial today because it's not by coincidence. This month is very layered with lots of meaning. First of all, Mr. Imhotep, Diego Makiese Dikala, his birthday was on February 18th, so his birthday is this month. He would have been 36 years old about a week and a half ago. Also, this month is African Heritage Month, and it's Black History Month as well. So there is something very befitting about honoring a man who dedicated his life to restoring African history during a time that the world pauses, even if just for a little bit, to reflect on Black history. And although when I heard of Mr. Imhotep's passing, and it saddened me greatly, I realized that we didn't really have a space to process it with people who truly understood the magnitude of what he carried. So that's why we're doing this, because grief needs community. It's why we developed this, especially the part 2. Part 2 is not just going to be a remembrance. It's going to be about community healing and connection building. It's going to be about creating space to process collectively what many of us are probably carrying privately, and then supporting, staying connected in supporting the creators who are sacrificing so much to help us decolonize our minds. So Kamji's going to put that chat in the... So it's going to put that link in the chat so you could register for that. Tonight is about honoring Mr. Imhotep's legacy. It's also about tending to the living. Because if he taught us anything, Mr. Imhotep taught us that history is not static. It's something that we carry forward. And now that responsibility rests within us. Crystal, do you want to give a very brief translation?
De manière succincte, Sechi raconte les circonstances dans lesquelles elle apprend que Monsieur Imhotep nous a quittés. C'était pas une information qui avait été divulguée, elle s'était juste rendue compte qu'il n'était vraiment plus présent sur certaines de ces plateformes. Et elle s'est donc mise à la recherche, et c'est donc là qu'elle a pris contact avec la famille et qu'elle a appris la nouvelle elle s'était dit que comme il avait un nombre important d'abonnés, il y aurait quand même eu une espèce de commémoration, du moins que les gens dans la communauté soient informés. Elle s'est rendue rapidement compte que c'est pas le cas. Et avec un groupe d'influenceurs qui dédient leur temps et leurs énergies à rétablir l'histoire véritable des Noirs au travers du monde, de l'Afrique. Elle a donc mis cette initiative en œuvre. Donc c'est un effort de groupe. C'est pas seulement ces influenceurs, c'est également des gens qui ont profité, comme nous tous ici, de son travail. Le mois de février est un mois particulier parce que Diego aurait eu 36 ans le 18. Euh, c'est le mois de l'héritage africain et aux États-Unis, c'est le mois de l'histoire noire afro-américaine. Donc, c'est un mois qui est chargé euh, lorsqu'on considère l'histoire des gens d'ascendance africaine. Et c'est d'autant plus important de le célébrer, enfin de commémorer sa mémoire ce mois de février, parce que justement, lui, il travaillait de manière acharnée à rétablir les faits historiques tels qu'ils étaient, à décoloniser les pensées et à permettre vraiment aux gens de se connecter, d'avoir une continuité dans leur histoire, en empêchant de, de divulguer ou bien de propager une propagande historique qui n'est pas correcte. Donc, en gros, c'est ce que Séché a dit. Il s'agit vraiment de le faire maintenant ensemble, en tant que communauté, de grandir ensemble, de dire au revoir ensemble. Il y aura une partie 2 dans 3 semaines. Nous allons mettre le lien dans la barre d'information et ce sera là l'occasion pour tout le monde, enfin pour ceux qui sont intéressés, de créer des connexions et de s'assurer que chacun a vraiment la possibilité de travailler cette perte, mais au-delà de là, franchement, de créer des connexions entre ces influenceurs qui font ce travail magnifique et les gens de la communauté qui en profitent pour divulguer les informations et le message. Pour ceux qui ne sont pas au courant, ou bien qui n'étaient pas au courant que M. Imhotep nous a quittés, s'il vous plaît, profitez maintenant pour envoyer le lien de ce stream pour que ceux qui ne sont pas au courant puissent participer. N'hésitez pas à propager la nouvelle parce que, évidemment, on se rend compte que beaucoup de personnes n'étaient pas informées de son décès. No, that will be it for my part.
Thank you. And finally, I want to say to his family who is here tonight, we thank you. We know that this journey has been triggering, revisiting his work, reading his words, all the things we've made you go through, in order to collaborate with us. That takes courage. And we commend your bravery for staying with the process. And we hope that tonight contributes, even in a small way, to some healing for you. Mr. Imhotep was not just a content creator. He was, in his own words, a voice in the desert. He walked before it was popular, before there was AI, before there was monetization, before there was any applause. And so tonight we gather not just to mourn a death, but to honor a mission. For now, we gather to remember.
Donc, nous nous adressons de manière spéciale à la famille de Diego. Nous savons que c'est très difficile d'être là aujourd'hui, après le chemin que vous avez parcouru jusqu'à présent. Pour nous, il était Monsieur Imhotep, pour vous, il était un fils sans frère. Et nous vous sommes reconnaissants de faire partie intégrante de ce processus que nous faisons ensemble. Il est d'autant plus important pour nous d'en parler parce que il était une voix dans le désert. Au moment où il commence son travail, c'était pas un sujet que les gens traitaient. Il était un pionnier dans ce qu'il faisait. Donc, il y avait d'autres personnes, mais c'était pas vraiment un travail qui était reconnu. Et il a sacrifié de son temps, de son énergie. Ça c'est quelque chose que vous savez probablement mieux que nous. Euh, et c'est dans ça. Il a fait son, il a fait son travail et on voit les fruits aujourd'hui.
Thank you. And so now I'll just give a brief overview what the program is going to be like. So and then we'll continue. We'll have a moment of silence and a brief cultural ceremony/prayer. And then we'll go into the tribute section. We have a whole video prepared talking about Mr. Imhotep's biography, his eulogy, and everything. You get to learn a little bit more behind the scenes about Diego Makiese Dikala. And we'll have some tributes, some words from his family as well. And we'll have some words from fellow content creators. And then we'll also have some tributes for members of the community who've been impacted by his work. And we'll have a musical interlude. And then two songs we'll sing for him. And then we're going to have a panel discussion, and then we'll discuss where we go from here. And of course, in this, we'll also discuss more about that fundraiser that I alluded to earlier. So for now, let's take a moment of silence, wherever you are. Let's take a minute in silence, just honoring the memory of Diego Makiese Dikala. So I'm gonna set my timer for 1 minute. Wherever you are, just sit in silence and reflect on him and his work. Okay, a minute is up. So I'm going to hand it over to Sister Christelle to take us through the next part.
So, good evening again. Let us focus after this moment of silence to think about what his departure meant. We gather today with full hearts to honor the life of our brother and son, Diego David Makiese Dikala. We draw from within ourselves the strength to support one another. We remember those who came before us, those who paved the path that we walk now, and we hold those persons dear as they walk before us, but for especially we hold Diego dear now that he's departed this world. We should try to be sincere and hopeful in this moment. He left us, but we hold the hope that his life will be remembered with love. We do not wish that his shortcomings be forgotten. They are the mark he left on this world. We wish instead that he is at peace, freed from all the torment. We hold this hope for you, brother, that you may find rest carried by the memories of those who loved you. May the peace of God be with you, and may that peace reach those who mourn you. May your loved ones, friends, families, all those who you hold dear, and those you inspire through your work remember you with tenderness, affection, now and in the years to come. We will carry forward the legacy you leave behind, and we will definitely not forget your work and your accomplishments. And that's the reason why we remember you among those who loved you, and you aren't forgotten, you will not be forgotten, because your memory is woven into the fabric of our lives, our hearts, our stories, those we tell to the people we know, those we share with one another. Rest now, brother, until the day we meet again. Go in peace, go carried by all the people who loved you. May your life remain an example to us all. And for those of us who remain, this community, we will continue to seek truth, to grow, to become who we are meant to be, who we were always meant to be. We will strive to find balance and purpose in all we do until the day we are reunited. And that's the reason why we say, God is with you. You are at peace now in His presence, and we cherish your memory. Donc, je vais essayer de le traduire en français également. Nous sommes réunis aussi aujourd'hui de plein cœur pour honorer la vie de notre frère et fils, Diego David Makiese Dikala. Nous puisons dans nos cœurs la force nécessaire pour nous soutenir les uns les autres en cette période difficile. Nous n'oublions pas ceux qui nous ont précédés et qui ont tracé le chemin que nous empruntons maintenant. Et nous gardons Diego dans nos cœurs alors qu'il commence ce voyage hors de ce monde. Nous devons faire des efforts d'être sincères et pleins de douceur ensemble en cette période difficile. Diego, tu nous as quittés, mais nous espérons néanmoins que la vie que tu as vécue, que les gens s'en souviennent avec tendresse et amour. Nous ne souhaitons pas que tes manquements soient oubliés, ils sont l'empreinte même que tu as laissée dans ce monde. Nous souhaitons plutôt que tu sois en paix, libéré de tout tourment. Nous gardons cette espérance pour toi afin que tu puisses trouver le repos auprès de Dieu, porté par la mémoire de ceux qui t'aimaient. Que la paix de Dieu soit avec toi et que cette paix se propage sur ceux qui te pleurent. Que les tiens et ceux que tu as inspirés par ton travail, tes amis, ta famille, cette grande communauté, cette grande famille au travers des 4 coins du monde se souvient de toi avec affection maintenant et pour les années qui viennent. Et pour nous qui restons, tes accomplissements ne seront pas oubliés. Nous nous rappelons du sacrifice que tu fais, du travail que tu as fait. Et nous profitons de l'occasion d'être auprès des gens qui t'aimaient pour le faire de plus belle. Tu ne seras pas oublié. Tu es tissé dans la fabrique même de nos souvenirs, de nos cœurs, de nos pensées, des histoires que nous racontons à ceux qui ne te connaissaient pas ou bien de ceux qui te connaissaient, qui connaissaient ton travail. Repose-toi maintenant jusqu'au jour où nous nous retrouverons. Va en paix, va porter par tous ceux qui t'aimaient, que ta vie soit pour nous un exemple, parce que tu cherchais la vérité et nous continuerons à chercher cette vérité, à grandir, à devenir ceux que nous avons toujours appelés à être. Nous nous efforcerons de trouver l'équilibre et le sens en tout ce que nous faisons et ferons. Et pour conclure, le plus important, Dieu est avec toi. Tu es en paix auprès de lui et nous chérissons ta mémoire et ton empreinte, ton impact. I'm done.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sister Christel. That was very touching. Thank you for that touching prayer, that touching tribute. I'm sure his soul must feel it wherever he is. So I would love for you to go ahead and talk to us about the fundraiser for the Legacy Fund, whose link it is we see at the banner of the stream. There's a link there to the fundraiser. Can you go ahead and talk about it, Sister Christel? You're muted, I think. I can't hear you.
So, as Sister Seche already said, not everybody knew about his departure, and there is something very important that we have to talk about. There is a situation that isn't easy. When he left so many things behind, over 190 documentaries, hundreds of educational threads, 4 books. For instance, my African Icons, I think that it's a book that everybody knows. A massive digital archive that enlightened millions, a lot of us. And unfortunately, that treasure is locked now. Following his passing, the platforms hosting his lives work have become inaccessible because they are caught in standard recovery procedures that fail to account digital legacies like his. And some of those accounts are frozen. Part of his work remains out of reach and is at risk, and we are at risk of losing more, unfortunately. What we aim with the campaign we are starting is to support Mr. Imhotep's family by funding the transfer of his digital archive, preserving free public access to his work, and easing the financial strain of his family because they had to carry that burden alone. Um, why are we doing that? Who was he? I think that we all can agree that he was not um, a professor with an university chair, but he was an historian without a classroom, with many students, an educator without institutional approval, but a liberator whose only weapon was the truth. And for years, he rose before dawn, not for fame, but because he believed deeply that our stories, the stories that are not being told, must be told by us. And his work was not a career, it was a calling. Um, and we cannot let that calling be silenced. Um, why is it important to keep it alive? Um, it's important to know what he built, no? Precisely to know what he did. As I mentioned before, we are talking about more than 190 documentary style videos on various platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, hundreds of educational threads, each carefully constructed arguments against centuries of distortion. He debunked historians, journalists, and trolls alike. I think that we have a few names in mind. Never losing his composure, never abandoning facts for fury. He remained calm, precise, lethal. He wrote 4 books, um, and as I said before, there is this massive free digital archive that is accessible at no cost for African or people from African descent who have an internet connection. What he did too was to inspire an entire generation of creators. Um, he didn't just teach history, he taught how to teach that history. Why he taught why precision was political, why context is crucial, why our stories cannot be left for others to tell. I mean, we didn't have a good experience with that till now. So, what did he restore for us? He understood genuinely that our story cannot be told in fragments. It is a continuum. It's something that has to be told in continuity. There is not a period that one can take to start talking about Africans, African descendant Black people around the world, because that would be equivalent to lying. He walked us through the gates of Kemet. He reminded us fact after fact, source after source, that the Kemetians were not mysterious strangers to their own continent. They were our Black African ancestors. He traced the threads from Kemet to Kush, revealing that both civilizations, like many others before, but making it spreading this information, that these two civilizations share the same origin. That the kingdom of Kush, um, whose pharaohs ruled from Napata to Teb, whose pyramids rose in Nubian glory, while Rome was still a village of mud huts, is important. He unearthed the mathematical genius of Timbuktu scholars projecting their manuscripts. So we could see with our own eyes that African minds map the stars while libraries um, elsewhere slept. Um, he did so much for us that it is important to to remind those who came before him. He didn't just start talking about it without having any kind of source. There are names like Sheikh Anta Diop, for instance, that we know. Teofilo Benga, who did a lot. Um, exactly. So what can we do now to save that legacy? There are many ways to support that particular effort. The financial contribution, every gift, whether modest or substantial, brings us closer to unlocking the accounts that aren't accessible, and to preserve the work that he's done for the future generation. Please share this campaign widely. Don't hesitate. As we said, we sent the link. Just spread it. Tell it to those who don't know. Amplify the message, and honor him in your own way. No, like a candle, prayers. Ask God to guide this fight. We are a small group of people, as we said before, family, content creators, or members of this continuity community, um, who thirsts for knowledge, for the knowledge he had, and we cannot and we will not let his family fight alone. Um, Mr. Imhotep didn't have a Nobel Prize. He didn't have a prestigious chair, chair at a prestigious university. Sorry. He didn't have mainstream recognition from institutions that spent centuries denying the truth, but he received something much more greater, our gratitude and the respect of all the Black people worldwide. And we all say the same thing. Um, we say thank you for showing us who we are. Um, we know that. Sorry, I'm emotional a little
Okay.
bit.
It's
Um, I'm sorry. I need
it's
to gather myself a little bit. Sorry. Um, yes. He showed us. He showed us who we are, and we are thankful for that. Um, he
Thank you.
lived a life of truth, and he. We must continue to carry the torch. We cannot let the status quo. Um, we have to invest in our collective memory. We are not mourning passively. We are fighting actively the way he taught us, argument after argument, source after source, with calm but with precision. And it is important to do it, because if we don't act now, um, that what he did may not be accessible for generation to come. Kids in the future will watch his documentaries, they will read his threads, they will read his books, and they will be able to see themselves as what they are. And they will hopefully be proud of their history and from where they come from. Um, Children kissed by the sun, children proud to be Black, and children thankful for their heritage. That is his legacy, and defending that legacy is our mission. So, the most important question now is to know if you will join the fight, and we really hope you do. So,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Christelle, for that. Yeah, it's not been an easy journey, and we hope you all will join us and the family to keep this legacy alive, continue this work. Thank you. Crystal, can you just take like 30 seconds and talk about the fundraiser in French? Just don't talk about Mr. Imhotep, just the fundraiser. This is where you
Yes,
go.
yes,
This is what it
yes.
is. Because we're,
Euh,
thank you.
donc, vais essayer de le faire de manière un plus succincte. Je m'excuse que les traductions en français soient courtes. Nous avons commencé une collecte, une levée de fonds pour pouvoir sauver le travail que Monsieur Imhotep a fait. Le problème que sa famille rencontre depuis qu'il est décédé est qu'il y a difficulté à accéder à une partie importante du travail qu'il a fait sur des plateformes diverses. Et le temps, c'est une lutte, c'est un combat contre la montre. Il faut qu'on agisse rapidement parce que des éléments qui sont accessibles aujourd'hui peuvent ne pas l'être dans quelques semaines si nous ne faisons pas ce qu'il faut faire. Il s'agit également d'aider la famille qui porte le poids pas seulement émotionnel mais financier de ce combat. Donc, il faut que nous les joignions. Il y a plusieurs choses qu'on peut faire à ce niveau. La participation financière, tout ce qu'on peut donner, tout ce que vous pouvez donner, n'hésitez pas. On est reconnaissant pour tout. Amplifier le message et le propager pour que le maximum de personnes soient au courant de son décès et de ce qui est en train de se passer avec son travail. Ce sont mine de rien 190 livres, des milliers de posts, 4 livres qu'il a écrits. Euh, et il s'agit vraiment de garder ces archives digitales sur place, en place, pour que ceux qui viennent après aient la possibilité d'en profiter.
Thank you so much, Sister
Couldn't
Crystal.
do that in 30 minutes because, in 30 seconds,
It,
I'm sorry.
no, 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 it's okay. I was just, it didn't have to be 30 seconds. I just meant,
Yes, I know.
it was great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, so next we're going to watch a video montage, you know, where we'll get to see who Diego Makiese Dikala, David Diego Makiese Dikala was. We'll see the real person behind the avatar. Um, and we'll also sample a few of some of our favorites of of his shorts. So thank you, Brother Cam Givers, for putting this together for us. And here we go. Sister Christelle, if you can just translate what we're about to do.
So on va regarder maintenant un montage qui va nous montrer un peu la vie de Monsieur Imhotep, découvrir qui il est. Et on va regarder maintenant le montage.
Thank you. All right, go ahead, Brother Kamji. Thank you. And you could take the rest of us out of the screen so that we can see that fully.
Excuse me, I'm going to play on a different screen. Excuse me for the technical difficulties. I'm going to stop sharing that. It cannot be heard. But we will get that squared away. Appreciate everybody for being here. I'm going to have to get it on a different screen. Actually, hold on a second. Let me remove this. Stop screen. I may have share screen. See the tab audio is in here.
The Democrat.
Can you?
I think I just heard something, but it stopped.
It's playing on my screen, but I'm gonna try to play it from a different window. Excuse me. I'm gonna try to get it on so that you could hear it in its full totality. Excuse me. It'll take me a few seconds to get this up here. And we appreciate everybody giving support. See, Mr. Imhotep, Moral Test 2. Make sure that this is good to go. All right. Okay. So I'll make it here, there. All right. Boom. Appreciate everybody's patience. Stop screen. We're going to get this squared away. So everybody should be able to see this.
Diego Makiese, known to the world as the educator and visionary Mr. Imhotep, was a man whose life was a testament to intellectual fervor, unwavering perseverance, and a profound love for Africa. Born on February 18, 1990, in Kinshasa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, his journey was one of relentless pursuit of knowledge and truth. From his earliest days, Diego was a child.
Someone is saying that they can't see it on my channel. To make sure that the people live can see it. It's showing that you can on the channel. Yeah, it's showing that you can see it on the channel. So for anybody, excuse me, for anybody listening on Conjiverse, okay, saying it's all good. All right, perfect.
Aglow with an intellectual fire. Described as studious, curious, and fiercely determined, he set an example for his peers. His competitive spirit was not about defeating others, but about outdoing himself. A telling childhood anecdote recounts his friendly academic rivalry with his cousin. They would constantly fight for the title of first in class. So driven was Diego that being in second place troubled him, leading him to pledge to his father to redouble his efforts, a promise he kept. This early Diego Makiese, known to the world as the educator and visionary Mr. Imhotep, was a man whose life was a testament to intellectual fervor, unwavering perseverance, and a profound love for Africa. Born on February 18, 1990, in Kinshasa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, his journey was one of relentless pursuit of knowledge and truth. From his earliest days, Diego was a child aglow with an intellectual fire. Described as studious, curious, and fiercely determined, he set an example for his peers. His competitive spirit was not about defeating others, but about outdoing himself. A telling childhood anecdote recounts his friendly academic rivalry with his cousin. They would constantly fight for the title of first in class. So driven was Diego that being in second place troubled him, leading him to pledge to his father to redouble his efforts, a promise he kept. This early rivalry unexpectedly reconnected and strengthened family ties, setting a pattern for Diego's ability to build through challenge. His childhood environment in a Christian household instilled in him a strong sense of integrity, justice, and a hatred for lies and injustice. Family trips to the library nurtured a lifelong passion for reading. He would often have to be persuaded to leave and would bring stacks of books home. Fascinated by technology from a young age, he was always at the forefront, possessing the latest computers and video games. His creative genius was evident early on when he created a flipbook animation, complete with his own voiceover, leaving his family in awe. At the age of 13, Diego moved from Congo to France, a difficult transition that meant leaving his friends and family world behind. He excelled academically, but his path was not without significant obstacles. In Parisian schools and later at university, he faced racism, injustice, and envy from his peers and professors, threatened by his academic prowess and strong character. He once received unfairly low marks despite nights of revision, pushing him to the brink of quitting. He told himself that he would try this one last time, and if he failed, he would abandon his studies. His final attempt earned him the top mark in his year's final exam. This triumph solidified his resilience, and he began to call himself Terminator, a persona reflecting his unstoppable nature. He initially pursued higher education in economics, international money, banking, and finance, coming within 1 year of completing his master's degree. However, a profound personal awakening would soon redirect his life's mission. The pivotal turning point in Diego's life occurred on July 14, 2013, during a visit to the Louvre Museum in Paris with his cousin. Confronted with the artifacts of ancient Kemet, his initial skepticism about their African origins melted away. Seeing the clear African features in the statues of Asar and the other pharaohs, he was revolted and indignant at the historical fabrication that had degraded African people. He erupted with passion, instructing his cousin to film the evidence, exclaiming, "We have to show this to people. I didn't know that." That night, he dove into deep research and a new path was set. He later wrote, "I felt that Africa was calling me." He made the courageous decision to abandon his near-complete master's degree to dedicate his entire life to researching and teaching authentic African history. Adopting the moniker Mr. Imhotep in the late 2010s, after the renowned ancient African polymath, Diego embarked on his life's work. He saw the teaching of African history as a crucial tool to combat the racist myths and ontological amnesia inflicted upon people of African descent. His mission was to rebrand Africa, to change both the world's perception of Africa and Africa's perception of itself. He was motivated by a profound sense of justice and the belief that we are gods who had been lied to for generations. He aimed to provide socioeconomic, political, and technological solutions for Africa's emergence, believing that positive change could only begin with a positive self-perception rooted in an accurate historical consciousness. He toiled meticulously, often working 24/7, driven by the feedback from his global community and the desire to save the next generation, stating, "Our generation is already rotten, but the next one must be saved." Behind the serious scholar was a man of great warmth, humor, and diverse interest. Diego was a loving and protecting brother, a confidant, and a coach who always sought to bring out the best in his family and friends. He was known for his hilarious impersonations and his talent for lightening the mood. His interests were vast. He was a skilled guitarist and singer, a photography enthusiast, and a fan of football, combat sports, and fitness. He loved deep, complex films by directors like Quentin Tarantino and Miyazaki, and his musical taste was eclectic, ranging from Muse and Kanye West to Amy Winehouse and Michael Jackson. He was deeply interested in neuroscience, psychology, nutrition, and alternative worldviews, always seeking to understand the human mind and condition. Feeling constrained and stifled by the racism he experienced in France, Diego sought freedom and new perspectives in Asia. He traveled to Vietnam, where he continued his work with his characteristic dedication. Tragically, his journey was cut short, and he passed away in 2024 at the age of 34. Diego Makiese's legacy is immense. Through his videos, social media posts, and his series of children's books, Musicons Africains, he touched millions of lives. He hoped to be remembered for restoring truth and for his unwavering work to rebrand Africa. His family wishes the world to see him as a hero of Africa, a man of integrity who dedicated his life and discipline and love to restoring the honor of African people so they may be respected and never humiliated again. David Makiese's final message, echoed in his life work, is a call to action, to be proud of your identity, to spread the truth of your history, and to never stop learning. Today, we remember Diego Makiese, affectionately known as Mr. Imhotep.
I looked and found all these pieces. People tend to use them as evidence. And that's true. There are many statues of ancient Egyptians that are entirely white. But here is the issue, that's not their original state. This issue actually concerns all the art of antiquity, especially in ancient Greece and Rome. Their statues were originally painted, but they have been whitewashed later. But let's go back to our topic. Let's take this statue for example. It's clearly white, right? But when we zoom in, here's what we see. Do you notice these traces of dark brown pigments? These are traces of its original hue. This statue wasn't originally white. It lost its color with time. Here are other examples. You can see the same issue. So, basically, the Kemites never depicted themselves white-skinned. We've all heard of the so-called black pharaohs from Kush. These pharaohs are presented as the only black pharaohs, as if the others were not black. The problem is that as soon as we really start studying Kemet in depth, it becomes obvious that there have never been any indigenous white pharaohs, despite what we've been told. However, when looking at ancient Egyptian art, it's obvious that a great majority, if not all, of the pharaohs and the majority of their people were dark-skinned, and I can support that statement with these images. Here we see that the ancient Egyptians sculpted their rulers in stone, and they sculpted black and dark-skinned people. We can all see it. So, most people live in an illusion that ancient Egyptians were white or at least not black. In the excerpt, Meta challenged me to prove things to him, while he shows no evidence of the opposite. The most problematic aspect of his claims is that, by framing them in this manner, he implies that the indigenous inhabitants of that African country weren't black. This creates the false impression that Kemet was a multiracial civilization with modern Europeans, Arabs, Indians, and then a minority of black people. It suggests that black Egyptians were merely one among several groups in a civilization that belonged to some mysterious non-black original race. So, every race was indigenous and contributed to the making of that civilization. Thus, he completely inverts the historical narrative. Since he spent nearly 90% of his response video to say that he wasn't a liar, I will assume that it is simply due to a lack of knowledge regarding ancient Egyptian history.
Who were the ancient Ethiopians? According to ancient Greeks, Ethiopians were blameless. the tallest and handsomest men. They were the first humans and the first to worship the gods. The gods were so pleased by their piety that they never let them be conquered by foreign nations. They even said that Egyptians were Ethiopian colonists led by King Osiris. Most people believe that it's about this Ethiopia. But this is how Greeks portrayed those Ethiopians. Nothing to do with these Ethiopians. Ethiopian means burned faces. It designated all black Africans living directly south and west of Egypt. Modern Ethiopia was then known as Axum. When invaded, Egyptians fled to ancient Ethiopia, which is Nubia or Kush. There, they regrouped with their fellow Africans to fight back. No foreign nation had ever conquered the Black Coalition, until King Ezana of Axum, who joined forces with Romans in Egypt, attacked them, creating two fronts. Ethiopia fell, and Ezana proclaimed himself King of Ethiopia. That's how Axum usurped that identity and became known as Ethiopia. Subscribe and activate the bell. What most people don't know about Egypt and Nubia. In the 1960s, the Egyptian government decided to build a dam on the Nile near Aswan. But there was one major problem. Historic sites near the river would be submerged. That's why a group of archaeologists led by Dr. Keith C. Seal traveled to Qustul in Nubia to save relics before the flood. What they discovered exceeded their wildest dreams. Tombs 10 times the size of Egypt's pharaohs, containing 10 times as much pottery, vessels, pallets, mace heads, and other valuable objects. These tombs would be considered royal in Egypt, and further investigation revealed that these kings reigned 600 years before Egypt's first pharaohs. The most important was hundreds of clearly pharaonic images, especially an incense burner depicting all traditional pharaonic symbols like a king wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt. This is the earliest depiction of that crown. It proves that the first pharaohs were Nubians who spread northward, as taught in the Egyptian Edfu texts.
You know, some things just fit better when they're shorter. Like your link.
This information is hidden because it proves that black Africans created Egypt. Who were the Natufians? The Tufians were the original inhabitants of the Middle East. They lived in countries like Israel, Jordan, Syria, Palestine, Turkey, and are known to be the inventors of agriculture 12,500 years ago. That invention triggered the development of first civilizations in all these areas. They are also the first people to make bread. Several biologists like Iosif Lazaridis and Nadine Roland studied their bodies. They found out that the indigenous people from the Middle East had Y chromosomes of African origin, and that they didn't experience Neanderthal admixture. It made them different from all other later populations in the Levant. In other words, they were black African explorers who settled in the area after the last ice age. Their haplogroup, E1b1, is the main haplogroup inside the African continent today. In its original form, it's almost exclusively found among black African populations from countries such as Ghana, Ethiopia, Burkina Faso, Senegal, South Africa, Gambia, Cameroon, Tanzania, and even among some African Americans. So, we can say that Africans invented agriculture. Do you know this mysterious dog breed? They were highly prized not only for their intelligence and athleticism, but also for their unique vocalizations, which is characterized by a lack of barking. Depicted in literature and artwork in Kemet, they were used for hunting and guarding roles. Kemites believed that they had magical abilities, could speak with the gods, and that they had healing properties. As time passed, the true origins of that breed became a mystery. Some experts believed that they had always been native to Egypt. But where did these mysterious dogs truly come from? In the late 1800s, Europeans discovered a new breed of dog in Africa. Locals called them Basenji. After examining them, they noticed a remarkable likeness to dogs seen in Kemetic artwork, but also in cave drawings from as early as 6000 BC all over North Africa. They both had curled tails and prick ears. It was the pharaoh's breed. But something else grabbed their attention. Contrary to their beliefs, the Senjis did not originate in Egypt. They originated in Central Africa, notably the Congo area. Another piece of evidence supporting the connection between Kemet and Inner Africa. Are Egyptologists lying about ancient Egypt? In 2012, Zahi Hawass and the Egyptian government conducted research on Ramses III's mummy. It was the first study of this quality on royal mummies. They discovered that the king was murdered through a plot fomented by one of his wives. The results were widely publicized, but some key details remained hidden. The relationship between the king and a nearby mummy was determined using genetic kinship analyses. The man was Ramses' son. Both were Y-DNA E1b1 carriers, the most common haplogroup in Black Africa. Surprisingly, that info never made the news. Something unusual, since they've been flooding us with studies on non-royal mummies lately. A decade later, Zahi Hawass admitted that the skulls and complexions of Kemites resembled those of Black Africans.
The skull looks like African. No, they were dark skinned, but they were not black. But they're not Negro.
And we now know he is aware that many Egyptian pharaohs were genetically linked to Black Africans. Regardless, he insists that they were not black. So, yes, Experts are lying about chemistry.
Certainty brings confidence. So how do you get certainty? And what's my number one certainty?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Camjiverse. I hope everyone gets to get a little bit of a behind the scenes picture of what Mr. Imhotep was like. I mean, there's a whole lot more, but I hope you get to get just a little more glimpse. So we're now going to call on his family. We're going to the tributes time, so we'll start with family tributes. That will give us more insights into Mr. Imhotep as well. Tell us what he was like, what all this means to them, and then we'll hear from a couple of creators, and then we'll hear from a couple of community members who've been impacted by him. So why don't we start with Mr. Makiese? This is the father of Mr. Imhotep. Mr. Makiese, you have the floor.
Yes, I'm there.
Go ahead.
I can speak in French.
Yes.
And Christelle may translate.
Mm-hmm.
Je dirais aujourd'hui, moi et ma famille, nous remercions beaucoup le Seigneur Jésus-Christ, qui est le maître des temps et des circonstances, et qui a permis la journée d'aujourd'hui. Cette journée présente deux aspects pour la famille, pour ma famille, papa, maman et les sœurs, les filles. Premièrement, cette journée, cette réunion, c'est comme si on remuait le couteau dans la plaie. Et deuxièmement, c'est comme s'il y a quelque chose qui nous tenait à la gorge, qui est en train de partir, nous libérer. Certes, Diego nous a marqués dans sa vie par sa simplicité, son humilité, son amour, le sens d'amour et sa détermination. Quand il voulait quelque chose, s'il fallait qu'il ne dorme pas, il le faisait jusqu'à ce qu'il puisse trouver satisfaction. Concernant sa passion pour l'Afrique, nous qui étions à côté de lui, nous ne savions pas qu'il avait fait un si grand travail de taille. Personnellement, il ne cessait de me dire, « Papa, je suis en train de faire quelque chose de nouveau et de grand qui n'a jamais été fait. » Malheureusement, juste au moment où nous avons commencé à le comprendre, à savoir ce qu'il fait, le Seigneur l'a rappelé. Je peux dire que c'est maintenant là, avec les contacts que nous avons avec la communauté, que nous commençons à nous rendre compte de l'immensité du travail, de la taille du travail. De ses départs, de sa mort à 34 ans, comme on le dit à fleur d'âge, nous ne pouvons dire que, comme Ecclésiaste 3:11 le dit, il fait toutes choses bonnes en son temps. Le Seigneur, il fait toutes choses en son temps. Qu'est-ce que nous pouvons dire? Il est parti. Au nom de la famille, moi, papa, maman et les filles, nous ne cesserons de vous remercier pour le confort, pour l'assistance que vous nous apportez, parce que c'est une plaie et vous nous assistez. Nous ne cesserons surtout de remercier le Seigneur Jésus-Christ qui nous l'a donné comme fils et comme frère. Merci, que le Seigneur vous bénisse. Be blessed. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr.
Monsieur Makiese,
Yes.
Donc, okay. So, Mr. Makiese was saying that today is a particularly difficult day for them because they have the feeling that the thing that was choking them, was holding their breath, is being lifted. They unfortunately have to revive what they have been gone through, but they are thankful for what the community is doing to commemorate his memory. The family didn't really know what he was doing. When they started understanding what he was doing, unfortunately, he died. His father describes him as somebody who was very focused, who never gave up. When he had something to do, it would do it, not thinking about sleeping or eating. He would focus on the task at hand till it's done. But he was humble, very humble. He didn't gloat. He was calm, funny man. He has a lot of humor and other interests. And through this vigil, they are really seeing the impact that he had on people. They couldn't really fathom what he was doing. They are just discovering now how much he did. And Diego used to tell him, Father, I'm doing something that has never been done before. I'm doing something big. And they didn't realize it, and they are seeing and discovering it now. The family is thankful for commemorating his memory. They are thankful that by the blessing of Jesus Christ, they had him as a son and brother. They say that everything that happens has a reason why it happens. So they believe in God, and if it's the way it should be, there is probably a reason they accept it, but it is a wound that will always be open. Yes, but they are thankful and they bless us. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Krista. Thank you, Mr. Makiese. Who is going to be the next person from your family that will pull up?
Monsieur Makiese, quelle est la personne qui va prendre la parole du côté de la famille après vous?
En principe, la maman devait parler, mais elle n'a pas le... Puisqu'il y avait aussi le Kennedy qui devait parler, Pendant que Kennedy est en train de parler, je vais passer le lien à la maman, comme ça elle peut se connecter et dire quelque chose, s'il vous plaît. S'il vous plaît. S'il vous plaît.
Pas de souci. Donc, Kenzie will speak now. The mother is supposed to speak too, but he has to send the link first because she has issues connecting.
Okay. Kemji, you can go ahead and bring on Kennedy and take me off.
Kenzie has to connect his mic first.
Okay.
Kenzie, il faut connecter le microphone. Le microphone n'est pas activé.
In the meantime, while we're waiting for that, just a reminder that we have a fundraiser going on. You can see in the banner the fundraiser link, and the link has also been pinned in the comments. And also, we have in the comments pinned the link to register for the part 2 of this, which is the community healing. That's the part that wouldn't be a one-way street. It would be all of us in community together. All of us will be talking. If there's too many of us, we'll do breakout rooms and so on. So just a reminder of those two things. We have the legacy fund to support the family going on, and we have registration for part 2, which is going to be on March 21st at the same time. If you can go ahead and translate that while we're waiting for Kennedy.
Pour Kenzie, il faut aller round 3.
Monsieur Makiese, Kenzie est à côté.
Non, il n'est pas à côté de moi, mais je l'ai vu là.
Ok. Kamji verse, I don't know. He says that she's connected.
Je crois que son mic ne marche pas. Parce que il est... Attends.
Dans l'entretemps, il y a la maman qui va se connecter là. Il est en train de se connecter.
Because right now with Kenzie, it says not connected. So maybe it's not, he disconnected his mic or something like that.
Okay. Is Mama Nicole ready?
I think as we wait, I could go ahead and give one of my testimonial.
Okay, yeah, we can move on to the next part. When they're ready, we can come back.
Okay.
So let's go on to the creator tributes, and we can start with you.
Okay.
And then the King, you're gonna be next, and Thrill Black. So you're just prepare. You'll be in line next.
Yeah. So those of y'all who are familiar, with my channel, I've given this, testimony before, in the sense that, I've been, creating content for quite some time. Me and Seche, we have a common origin, among our ancestors. We deal with orature, orature connecting us, to classical Africa. So this is something that I've been involved with for quite some time, at least, from the age of 12, which is more than 2 decades at this point. But, you know, I was a creator that considered quitting content creation because those of y'all who do know this and who are aware of what it takes, there's a lot of barriers, resistance, tension, with respect to family, with respect to individuals who doubt, right? Even the idea that Kemet is a black civilization, there's a lot of scrutiny and doubt with respect to that. And it was really difficult for me. I had a time where I just completely let it go because I wasn't seeing as much progress, I wasn't seeing as much support, and it didn't really seem meaningful. But it was seeing Diego's videos that really sparked inspiration for me to continue forward, and just to continue just the work that needed to be done. If he did not create, like if Mr. Imhotep did not exist, Kamjiverse would not exist. And you can quote me on that because he's one of the main reasons that I started my channel, just to continue the work and continue, just pushing the consciousness forward. So like it's really difficult to put into words his level of impact because he was primarily a French speaker, in the Francophone world, but he gave a lot of, dedication to putting out content in English. He also had a big impact in the Lusophone world or the Portuguese speaking world from Brazil to Angola, Mozambique. And I would put him in, the pantheon as a digital version of Sheikh Anta Diop because his legacy and his indelible impact and his memory will never, ever, ever be forgotten. We're going to continue to do work to be able to, enshrine his name, with the great ancestors. We know that, he's in paradise right now. And, here, on this earth, we're going to do everything in our power to support the family, to contribute, to this fund and to make sure that, none of his work ever falls in vain. And for me, that's probably the most humble, testimony that I can give. But in all, this whole, you know, memorial and celebration, there's a lot of emotions, because some of us here, especially the family, they may feel as if, you know, the son, the brother, the cousin, the friend, the compatriot is lost. But as I said before, we're going to make sure that we redouble our efforts and make sure that nothing that he did is in vain and everything that he wanted is is manifested into fruition. Excuse me. I'm really holding back right now. But everything, everything that he did, every single video, every single voiceover, every single script, every single text, every single work is pushed forward, for our progeny and just for the grace and the integrity and the glory of Africa. So with that, I'm gonna leave the mic open for the good brothers Trill and King.
Crystal, can you translate that a little first before we go to the next brothers?
Donc, nous avons Kamjiverse qui vient de parler, c'est l'hôte de ce stream. Il dit de manière quintessentielle que si il n'y avait pas eu Monsieur Imhotep, il n'aurait pas été là parce que de manière quasiment littérale, c'est lui qui lui a donné la force et la motivation de faire ce qu'il fait. Il avait déjà commencé, il l'avait abandonné, mais en voyant Monsieur Imhotep faire ce travail-là, ça lui a directement donné du courage. Et s'il n'avait pas été là, lui, en tant qu'influenceur, il n'aurait pas été là non plus. il le compare un peu à l'historien Cheikh Anta Diop dans la version digitale parce que ce qu'il a fait était important et il promet que rien de ce qu'il a fait ne sera perdu. Chaque post qu'il a fait, chaque vidéo qu'il a fait, chaque commentaire qu'il a fait, tout ce qu'il a fait pour la prospérité ne sera pas perdu. Et qu'il s'agit aujourd'hui pour nous tous de continuer cette œuvre, que la famille, certes, a perdu un fils, un frère, un cousin, un ami, un compatriote, mais qu'il représente beaucoup plus pour cette communauté. Donc, c'est à cause de ça que la promesse de préserver son travail, il la réitère. Yeah. Couldn't translate everything, the emotions, but I think that they got it.
It's okay. Thank you so much. Trill, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Am I loud and clear?
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Okay. What can be said that's not already been said? This man, this individual that we're here to celebrate and to remember, I can confidently say that as far as things I was seeing on the internet go, it was his work that really pushed me to get my channel going. It was his stuff that I first saw when I was looking into into the story of people like myself, my people, and people who look like me. It was Mr. Imhotep that came up and whose work I fell in love with first. And I could never imagine that we'd be doing this today. But here we are. His legacy really is, you can't overstate it. His work will resound. It will echo. And someone, I think Sister Crystal already said it tonight. And it is a legacy, and it's the legacy that Black children are out here and are going to be proud to be Black for the rest of their lives because of Mr. Imhotep's work. I know it's painful. It's always painful when you lose a loved one. And I think up till now, if I'm honest, it's kind of been just a concept in my head. Oh, Mr. Imhotep's gone. But hearing his father speak, it should never be that a father should bury his child. But sir, if you're listening, as a fellow believer in Christ, I hope you can get this across to him, please, Sister Crystal. As a fellow believer in Christ, everything, Romans 8:28, we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, who are called according to his purpose. So it might be dark right now. It might look like it doesn't make any sense, but I just remind you of those words. All things work together for good to them that love God, or for them that love God. Yeah, what else can I say? Mr. Imhotep, he was a great, and his legacy will live on. It will live on. It was worth it, sir. Your son's work was worth it. I can understand why, as someone that does this myself, I can understand why he kind of kept it hidden. That's something that we struggle with. It's okay for everyone else to talk about their history. But when Black people start to talk about their history and their greatness and things that people that look like them did in the past, then everybody starts to get funny and starts to look nervous. that's something we're trying to change. But yeah, that's maybe why he kept it hidden. I don't know, but it was worth it. So that's all I've got to say. He reached a lot of people, and his legacy will echo. Yeah, that's me done, Queen Seche.
Thank you, Brother Thrail. Thank you. Can you go ahead and translate?
Yes, donc c'est notre frère Trill Black qui lui aussi a une chaîne qui est dédiée à la restitution de l'histoire des gens qui sont d'ascendance africaine. Il dit que lorsqu'il commence cette aventure, les premières vidéos qu'il voit, ce sont celles de Monsieur Imhotep, et que lui aussi, ça l'a inspiré. Il dit que il fait partie des plus grands, qu'il a toute son admiration et que le sacrifice qu'il a fait en valait la peine. Qu'il a travaillé de telle sorte que des enfants de couleur noire partout dans le monde sont fiers d'être noirs parce qu'ils connaissent leur histoire. Que malheureusement, ceux qui sont engagés dans ce travail, ils ont tendance à ne pas toujours divulguer avec leur famille ce qu'ils font. Il y a toujours cette hésitation à en parler, qu'ils comprennent parfaitement que bon, ce soit maintenant que vous, la famille, vous découvriez l'ampleur de son travail. Mais qu'en tant que chrétien, il est chrétien, il dit que il se réfère à Romains 8, verset 31, que tous ceux qui mettent leur foi et leur amour en Dieu seront supportés. Donc, c'est ça. Mais, yeah. I hope I did it justice, but I think that, yeah.
Thank you, Sister Crystal. Thank you. Next, we'll bring Kenzie on. It looks like Kenzie and Mama Nicole are ready.
I think we should go with King because I'm not seeing their mics. Oh yeah, I think Kenzie. Okay, Kenzie just came available, but I think we should go with King first before we move on to Madame Nicole and Kenzie.
Okay.
Thank you. I hope my microphone is not too unbearable when I was giving the news before. How was it? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is the level okay? Because it was given a bit of noise before. Is it bearable?
I think we can hear you okay. There is some background noise, but we can still hear your mic.
Okay. Yeah, so I won't take too long. I don't think I can improve much on anything that's been said. I'm only going to add what my personal experience is. Let me turn off the mic because people are saying it sounds like I'm far. I don't know what's going on with my microphone today. Mr. Imhotep's channel was very inspirational for me. I can say without a doubt, most people who know me for my reconstructions, and I've said before, and this might be the first time you're hearing it, but I've said on many occasions that I definitely got the idea. Mr. Imhotep is the original reconstruction artist for the black space. He was the first person to dare to put a kind of like a regular system behind making reconstructions of the pharaohs in their true form, that is in their African form. He did it first, and seeing the visualizations that he created in a couple of his shorts really inspired me. And that was the birth of the King's Memorial. My first videos were all centered around more mostly centered around reconstructions. And that was the inspiration that came from Mr. Imhotep's channel. Because I knew once I saw it, I realized, hey, yeah, this is something we should be doing. And I wanted to add to that conversation, and I felt like I had the skill set to be able to do it. So I give Mr. Imhotep all the credit in the world for birthing that chapter. And I wanted to add to one of the things that Trill Black was saying in regards to, when we're in this space as creators, it is a heavy burden. And we don't complain about it that much, but what we complain for, God's given us a job to do, and we just kind of get on with it, and we enjoy it, and we love the privilege of being able to share our history. But there is a huge jump between just being someone who owns book and has head knowledge, reads up about their history, and has a degree of certainty about who they are and what African/Black history looks like, and actually creating your own research. And that's what Mr. Imhotep did. That's what kind of we do on this platform. It's viewed as just content, but it's research, and it's taxing, it's time consuming, it's it's not an easy thing to do. It puts you in the firing line for criticism. It makes you accessible. It puts you in a position where everybody feels like they have a valid contribution to make on what you're doing, a correction, a critique, a way that you could do it better. And thinking about the fact that Imhotep, launched his channel, he really was the only person doing this. I have a family of creators now. I can sit back and not produce something for a couple of weeks, and I know that Camgiverse and Trill Black and Pruki and all of these other fantastic content creators are going to continue to educate the community. But when Mr. Imhotep first started doing this, it was just him. Everyone else who was doing Black content was doing safe Black content, acceptable Black content, mainstream Black content, not rocking the boat too much. He was daring to be honest, daring to be unapologetic, daring to create reconstructions of the pharaohs in the form of Africans. He was literally, standing in the midst of a deluge that was against him. And honestly, you can't understand what that experience feels like until you actually do it. And I've done it with the benefit of there already being a Mr. Imhotep there already being other content creators there. But when he stepped into that space, he wasn't stepping in with a collection or crowd of people already doing this. He stepped into it by himself, and he blazed the trail that inspired me, that made me feel confident to say, okay, I'm going to do this now. I've got something to add to this conversation. I've got some skills. And I think one of the biggest inspirations, other than everything else I've said so far, that I got from Mr. Imhotep is that knowing how difficult this is, I always try to extend the olive branch to new creators because I know how hard this is. And I kind of look at what I deal with, and that's one of the reasons why I do that even more so now, because I think it's really important that we support each other, we form a support network. I never managed to form a relationship with Mr. Imhotep, unfortunately, but I think there was definitely a silent respect both ways. And he knows that I was always very complimentary of him, and I remain so. he did so much. So yeah, I don't know, I've got a lot of love, respect, admiration, and gratitude for him doing what he did, because I think like the creators before me said, I wouldn't be doing what I was doing if it wasn't for him first blazing that trail. I mean, I might be doing it, but I'd definitely be doing it very differently, not the way he did it. So yeah, that's, I think I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Brother King, for that. Sister Crystal, if you can help us translate.
Donc, notre frère King, The King's Monologue, rejoint exactement ce que Krill Black a dit et Cam Givers ont dit avant. Lui, dans son cas spécifique, il a commencé son travail avec les reconstructions des pharaons et il a été motivé par celle qu'il a vue que Diego, Mr. Imhotep avait faite, qu'il était le seul à l'époque à avoir le courage de faire des reconstructions qui représentaient les Égyptiens anciens, la culture pharaonique, avec des gens qui sont des Africains comme il se doit. Mais que c'était pas facile parce que contrairement aujourd'hui où ils sont un groupe d'individus qui le font, lorsque lui commençait, il était tout seul. Il était tout seul contre une armada de personnes qui n'étaient pas vraiment prêtes à accepter que l'histoire soit dite comme il faut. Et que ce qu'il lui il ressent, même comme il ne se connaissait pas, il y a une connexion qu'il ressent et il éprouve une profonde gratitude pour le travail qu'il a fait, qu'il sait que c'est difficile de porter ce fardeau-là, parce que c'est un fardeau qu'il a porté seul pendant longtemps et que malheureusement, ça ne va pas sans conséquences. Il y a des attaques, il y a des gens qui ne vont pas toujours être d'accord et qui vont s'exprimer d'une façon qui est difficile, mais que il éprouve beaucoup de gratitude pour ce qu'il a fait et comme les deux avant lui, sans lui, il n'aurait pas commencé sa chaîne également. Donc, c'est ça.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Brother King, you know, it's interesting you mentioned about the reconstructions and the art. I remember reading in his biography that before he started doing reconstructions, he had reached out to hundreds of artists, begging them to depict, you know, pharaohs as they were, to depict black-skinned pharaohs and Egyptians, and you know, they all thought he was crazy. So that's why he had to learn how to do it himself and started doing it. So yeah, I can totally feel what you said.
I'm glad he did.
Thank you.
Because now he
Alright.
knows better to take the fact to them, and that's his legacy.
Sorry, say that again.
I said we're not scared to take the fact to them regardless. We've embarrassed them and we'll continue to do so, and that's his legacy.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to bring Kennedy, who is a cousin of Mr. Imhotep, and who was there with him when he had his big awakening at the Louvre.
Can you hear me?
Yes, is that Kennedy?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I appreciate everyone for gathering here, taking time out of the day, this weekend to remember Diego Makiese alongside his family.
Hey, Kenzie. Kenzie.
Yes.
Il faut couper le YouTube dans le background, s'il vous plaît.
Ah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I had a bit of a technical error there. Yes. I would like to thank everyone for gathering tonight in support of the Makiese family. They've lost their son, a brother, and as much as his work was impactful, it's also to remember that the family has been left with a void, and everyone participating tonight is helping to kind of fill in that void. And his passing was abrupt and very devastating to the family, but through this community, I hope that they will gather the strength to carry on. So thank you everyone for coming and for remembering his work and what he has done. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kennedy. Thank you for being here and offering that, and especially all the information you gave us in the biography that helped us with his eulogy video. Thank you. And thank you for being there with him, taking him to the Louvre where, you know, his eyes got open. If y'all didn't make that trip, maybe we won't be here today, or maybe we would have been here much later. Maybe we wouldn't have had that channel, I don't know. So thank you. Thank you for the support you provided him throughout the journey. Thank you. So do we go to Mama Nicole? Is Mama Nicole available?
I think she should go and come back because her mic isn't connected, so I can't add her to the stage.
We cannot add Mama Nicole right now? Is that what you said?
Yeah, once she comes back with her mic, you know, I'll be able to add her to the stage.
Okay. And then we can just proceed with the community tributes. I'll go first, and if Mama Nicole is ready after that, we can come back to her. If not, then James will go after me. Oh my God. Okay. So my name is Sache, and I'm an engineer. I live in San Diego. I want to start with the story of my grandfather. When I was little, like 25 years ago, my grandfather told me that we were from Egypt, and I didn't believe him. You know, we had watched the movie The Mummy, and I was obsessed with the place. And my grandfather said, "This place I'm obsessed with, this is where we come from." I thought he was getting senile, you know, because I had never seen any depiction of myself or people like me in Egypt, you know. And I had many other encounters where people tried to tell me the ancient Egyptians were Black, and I couldn't conceive it. Fast forward many years later, almost a couple of decades, I stumbled into Mr. Imhotep's work. And I remember watching his content and feeling like something is shifting, you know. It was like my grandfather's voice was coming back, but this time with receipts, with documentation, with scholarship. It was like my grandfather's voice was coming back, but with the visuals to prove that it was right. And I had the language finally. So Mr. Imhotep's work helped me to reconcile that ancestral memory with historical evidence. He basically helped me believe my grandfather. And that ability to believe my grandfather came in really handy when I got tested tested by the world, tested by the society we live in that is not really designed for Black people to succeed. I got tested with, in the wake of George Floyd, where, there was all this attention on Black people, and some realizing that, there's discrimination in the world. I went through 163 job interviews. Yes, that's 163 job interviews. I was hyper qualified, hyper prepared, very experienced, and I made it to the final rounds of most of them, only to watch over 90% of them go to less qualified white people in the end. And these weren't just random jobs, these were jobs in diversity, equity, and inclusion, a field I had transitioned to for more than a decade since. These were jobs that were supposed to be about creating equity, and yet all of them were still going to less qualified white people. And there is something psychologically violent about that, that can make you question your own reality, your own worth, your competence. And the saddest part, the saddest part, it wasn't just happening to me. It wasn't unique to me, because if you look at the statistics, the evidence, it shows that 81.3% of these DEI leadership jobs actually go to white people, and only 3.1% go to Black people, even though Black people are the face of this job, even though this field is built on Black pain and Black trauma. And it gets you thinking, if the field itself that's supposed to be about equity cannot be equitable, what hope do we have? So you can imagine the hopelessness I was feeling, and how I started questioning myself, how I started shrinking, how I started wondering if I was imagining my own brilliance. Being Black in America can feel like constant negotiating your own invisibility. But in these seasons, I would watch Mr. Imhotep's videos, and I would remember that my wealth did not begin with a hiring committee, and my dignity did not begin with corporate validation, that my ancestors did not wait for permission to build civilizations. He reminded me that we descended from builders, from thinkers, from architects of knowledge and masters of inclusion. And I eventually realized I needed to build my own table. Because when you know your lineage, when you know you're not inferior, but you're a genius, it becomes harder for institutions to gaslight you. He helped me believe my grandfather. I got to discover that the people from my tribe, the Bamileke tribe, did come from Egypt. And that's what my grandfather meant when he said we were from there. And I dismissed him. But in my weakest moments, I was able to believe him because Mr. Imhotep had done that work. I was able to believe him. And that gave me the resilience I needed. That gave me the resilience I needed to be able to survive, continuing in a system that's not set up for us to succeed. And even as we're looking at what's happening in society right now with immigrants being demonized, and same with the calling us trash and we're less than and so on, Mr. Imhotep's work helps me remember, oh no, our ancestors taught their ancestors what they call today civilization. And you know, the more interesting part, as I was reading Mr. Imhotep's biography, the answers to the questions I had put together, and family members were responding. You know, I discovered something I didn't expect. There was talks about he missed deadlines sometimes, and he would get frustrated, and he struggled with this or that. Sometimes he would feel depressed. There were so many challenges involved. There were moments of emotional intensity and moments of vulnerability. And interestingly, I was like, that makes him even greater, because I'm like, he's just human. And he went through all these hoops to get this message to us. And this knowledge that he gave us completely changed the way I do DEI work now. I go at it from the roots. I focus a lot on this ancient history. And I've had some people tell me, if I knew what you're telling me now, I would have been a physicist instead of a taxi driver. I've had so many messages like that. How many of our children, how many of our parents, how many of us have missed our callings because of this this history that Mr. Imhotep has been trying to correct? And I'm so grateful that he inspired so many other creators, to get into this space. Because we really need to prioritize this history, this knowledge. This work has done way more than anything I ever did in diversity, equity, and inclusion. That field deals with the symptoms of the system. This work deals with the root cause. The root cause, the hidden histories that makes people think they're better than us, or makes us think other people are better than us, because we don't know what our ancestors did. We grew up in a world that seen us as less than. We grew up struggling, and we don't know our greatness. And so I found this work to be one of the most important aspects towards our liberation. And it is because that's why in America, they're trying to ban our history. But no, we won't let it. We're coming in many different ways. We'll leverage all the resources we have to make sure we shout our history from the rooftops. Not only our most recent history, but our way back history. Our way back history of how we started everything. So I'm also happy to know that, Makiese Dikala, his name means joy, the bringer of joy. And I believe he's lived up to that name. Because even though I'm very sad today because of his passing, I rejoice because of the impact he has had, not just on me, and so many people, and the impact I've had on other people because of him. And today I hope that impact continues. He's made us anchored in our identity and to be more proud of our ancestors and unwilling to shrink. And let that joy that he brings continue. Thank you.
Donc, tu raconte un peu comment l'impact du travail de M. Imhotep l'a accompagné durant une période assez difficile aux États-Unis. Il y avait ce drame-là avec George Floyd. Et pendant cette période, elle a vraiment cherché à travailler à trouver du travail. Elle était très qualifiée, mais elle voyait toujours cette place, quand bien même elle arrivait au dernier tour, cette place donnée à des personnes de couleur blanche moins qualifiées qu'elle, et que, bon, à un moment, elle s'est mise à douter de ses propres capacités, mais que durant cette période, les vidéos de Monsieur Imhotep, de Diego, l'ont accompagnée, lui ont montré d'où elle venait et lui ont fait comprendre qu'elle est beaucoup plus que ce qu'on lui montre, qui n'est vraiment pas nécessaire pour elle de chercher la reconnaissance ou bien à vouloir être invitée à la table lorsqu'elle peut la conduire elle-même. Elle a dit beaucoup de choses qui la reconnectent également à lui, le fait que la tribu de laquelle elle vient au Cameroun dit clairement qu'elle elle vient d'Égypte. Et que, bon, quand son grand-père le lui a dit à l'époque, elle ne l'a pas cru, et que lui, il a apporté la preuve factuelle, il a apporté les sources, les preuves, et que ça l'aide. Bon, c'est une période difficile, maintenant aux États-Unis particulièrement, mais le travail que Mr. Imhotep faisait est un travail qui va à la source du problème qu'ils vivent là-bas, que les communautés afro-américaines, les communautés d'immigrants africains vivent là-bas, parce qu'il s'agit de rétablir les faits historiques tels qu'ils étaient et pas faire de la propagande raciste qui va empêcher les gens de vraiment savoir d'où ils viennent pour qu'on continue de les exploiter. Donc, malgré le fait qu'elle est triste, elle est reconnaissante pour le travail qu'il a fait et que malgré cette douleur, il y a de la joie parce que, bon, il porte bien son nom puisque son nom veut dire celui qui apporte la joie. Donc, c'est mi-figue, mi-raisin un peu, donc c'est ça. C'est en gros ce qu'elle a dit.
Okay, so now we can continue with Madame Nicole and then James.
Bonjour ou bonsoir tout le monde. Voilà, je suis la maman de Diego, de David, comme on l'appelait à la maison. Je voudrais, par cette occasion, remercier la communauté pour l'hommage que vous rendez à mon fils. Oui, nos cœurs saignent et continueront à saigner parce que perdre un enfant comme Diego, c'est pas facile. Nous ne le verrons pas, certes, mais ses œuvres continueront à parler de lui. Je me rappelle toujours de ceux qui me disaient que nous, les Africains, nous ne sommes pas des esclaves. Ils me disaient tout le temps, maman, nous ne sommes pas des esclaves, nous sommes des rois. De son vivant, il disait encore que l'histoire, c'est comme la lumière. Même si on la cache, elle finira par apparaître. Voilà pourquoi ma prière a toujours été que le Créateur de toutes choses, qui connaît tout, parce que rien n'est caché, rien ne lui est caché, qu'il fasse luire la lumière qui représente la vérité, cette vérité que Diego a toujours voulu pour tous les Africains que nous sommes. Nous devons être fiers d'être des Africains parce que nous ne sommes pas le fruit du hasard sur la terre. Voilà, c'est tout ce que je voulais nous dire. Merci à tout le monde. Merci encore et que Dieu vous bénisse.
So that was Mrs. Makiese, the mother from Mr. Imhotep. She too is thanking the community for the work that they are doing in commemorating him. She's saying that the wound of losing their child, especially a child like Mr. Imhotep, will never stop bleeding, but that his work will continue to talk for him. They are not going to see him again, but his legacy, the work that he did, will continue to bear fruits. She remembers conversations that she had with him where he was telling her that African people of African descent aren't slaves. They aren't slaves, they are kings. And he used to tell her that history is like light. One may try to hide it, but at some point it shines through. And that she's happy that he's giving back the pride to all of us to be African, to be Black, proud of our heritage. And she's blessing us. She's thanking us again, and she hopes that the Almighty will continue to guide everybody. Yeah.
Okay, we could continue with James.
Thank you, everybody. I want to apologize to Monsieur Makiese because I know I promised I would work on my French. My French is still terrible. So I have to speak in English or Spanish, but I will speak in English today. I was born in the Caribbean to a politically active Pan-African American family that valued learning and scholarship. It was the most important thing that my parents instilled in me and my brother. And as a child, we moved back to the United States, and I found myself fascinated with ancient civilizations and Kemet. And I just decided at some point as a small child that I was going to be an architect like Imhotep. And during my studies, I was very inspired at that time by the giant master scholars from the late 80s and 90s, like Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Cheikh Anta Diop, Asa Hilliard, John Henrik Clark, that whole generation. I looked up to them. I followed their grainy black and white videotapes and other students in African studies and in architectural studies. We passed those videotapes around and we watched them together, and we formed Black Environmental Design Students Associations and groups, and we were very, very, very active and involved in wanting to understand our history. You know, this great inspirational history that we have as Black people, as part of the diaspora. And in the 2000s, you know, family life and my career as a professional architect focused on Afrofuturism and Black cultural expression. You know, that work took me away from my studies, my ancient civilization studies. Discovering Mr. Imhotep's channel during COVID, you know, I had the time to really dive into, you know, all the videos and the research, and it really rekindled that fire again. And you know, I began sort of digging back into the world of investigation and inquiry. The new information that he presented in a polished, shareable digital format was just dope. It confirmed and centered what always was pushed to the side when I was growing up and doing studies, that that light of Kemet and of Africa, it shines bright, and it was there at the very beginning. And so his work helps just push that forward to a new generation of scholars and of folks. And it's super inspirational to be a part of this new Pan-African community with everybody, with, you know, Kamji and King and you know, just, it's just super inspirational. So I'm very thankful for the work of Diego, and that work inspired so many of us, and it brought us all together. And that work and that legacy will continue. We will continue it. Palante, siempre palante. We will move that work forward. And so I just want to say thank you to the family. I want to say thank you to the whole content creator community. And let's keep moving the work forward.
Donc James raconte un peu d'où il vient. Il vient d'une famille afro-américaine qui était très active aux Caraïbes, où il est né. Et lorsqu'il était un peu plus jeune, il est retourné aux États-Unis, mais que le travail académique a toujours été vraiment très important, un centre, un point essentiel de l'éducation qu'ils ont reçu. Et ils ont toujours, ses parents ont toujours essayé de nourrir ça. Avec le temps, ça s'est amplifié. Il a commencé à rechercher les sources, enfin, rechercher des historiens qui parlent de l'origine des Africains de manière générale. Et il est tombé sur des gens comme Cheikh Anta Diop, qu'on a déjà nommé plusieurs fois, ou bien professeur Van Sertima, ou bien d'autres personnes. Et il s'est rendu compte que ces informations sont cachées. Donc, il fallait vraiment faire des efforts immenses pour arriver à ces informations, et que la beauté du travail de Diego, Monsieur Imhotep, c'était de pouvoir, de manière digeste, mais claire, mettre en avant ce qui avait été dit des décades avant et qui avait été caché. Donc, il lui est vraiment reconnaissant pour ça, parce qu'il inspire une nouvelle génération de scientifiques, d'historiens qui vont mettre en exergue l'histoire des Africains, qu'il est très content de faire partie de cette nouvelle famille panafricaine, et que, bon, avec tous nos frères ici présents qui ont des chaînes qui se vouent à ce travail, la route va continuer. Donc, c'est en somme ce qu'il a dit.
So I think now, okay, Tabitha's with Madame. Okay, so Tabitha can speak.
Oui, bonjour et bonsoir à tout le monde. Encore une fois, là, je parle en faveur de mes sœurs et moi-même. J'aimerais tout d'abord vous remercier la communauté pour le soutien apporté au travail de mon frère. Et je me permets de parler maintenant ce soir pour rappeler encore une fois que le travail de mon frère n'était pas à but de semer une division ou autre. C'était vraiment, il voulait unir tout le monde, unir notamment les Africains, les Noirs entre eux. Et j'aimerais rappeler que ce travail qu'il a fait n'est pas pour lui-même, ni pour nous, sa famille, mais ce travail, c'est vraiment pour tout le monde, pour tous les Africains, pour leur redonner espoir, leur redonner de la dignité. Et ce qu'il a fait, nous aimerions vraiment que ce travail puisse continuer. Et qu'en écoutant le témoignage de Sichi, on réalise encore plus qu'il a atteint sa cible. Et ça nous fait vraiment, vraiment plaisir. On est très honorés pour cela. Et on aimerait encore rappeler, c'est vraiment, ce travail, c'est pas pour Diego, c'est pas pour sa famille, mais c'est vraiment pour tous les Africains. J'aimerais vraiment qu'on puisse rester centré sur Monsieur Imhotep et vraiment qu'on puisse continuer qu'on puisse continuer le travail qu'il a fait, qu'on puisse continuer à le propager aux générations à venir, parce que c'était très important pour Diego. On peut le voir au travers de ses œuvres, au travers des livres qu'il a écrits, que les générations à venir soient équipées et qu'ils ne puissent pas vivre dans le mensonge comme nous, on l'a été pendant très longtemps. Et vraiment que ce travail de vérité puisse se poursuivre au travers des générations à venir. Et en faveur de toute ma famille et de mes sœurs, notamment, j'aimerais vraiment remercier mon frère pour tout ce qu'il a fait. Non seulement pour la famille, mais aussi pour toute notre communauté. Et nous aimerons encore rappeler à quel point nous l'aimons et à quel point il nous manque, à quel point nous l'honorons et nous le respectons. Voilà, merci beaucoup encore une fois.
Merci. That was Tabitha, one of Mr. Imhotep's sisters, who is talking in the name of all his sisters and at the end partly for all the family. She said that it was important for her brother to avoid division, but especially to give the opportunity to all African people of African descent, Black people, to come together and to know our through history. She said that it was very important for him to give the next generation tools to live in this world and to know what has been hidden from us, to know their true history. And they really want us to put the focus not on the person Diego, but on Mr. Imhotep, so that his work can be spread, that the maximum of people, of children, get access to that. She was explaining that it was very important for him to give to spread that knowledge to the younger generations, and that the detail and the precision he put in his books addressed to them is a testament to it. She is thankful, her sisters and I, but all the family is thankful for the community, for what they are doing, especially getting in touch first with Seche, who started the whole journey. They want at this particular moment to tell her brother that he's loved from his whole family, that they won't forget him, that they honor him, and that the work that he has been done will prosper. Yes, I hope that I had everything, but basically that's that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Tabitha, and thank you, Sister Christelle. Can you all hear me okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mama Makiese and Kenizi, and every family member and the content creators and everyone who's given a tribute, helping us know a little more about Mr. Imhotep and how it's impacted us and how we can continue to work. Now I'm going to do a couple songs, musical interlude, just to commemorate. These songs are from my album about grief, healing, and hope, because I lost my mom a couple years ago, so I made an album. It's not yet published, but I decided to go ahead and customize a couple of the songs specifically for Mr. Imhotep here. So that's what I'm about to do in honor of Mr. Imhotep. The first one is called His Spirit Lives, because I was in so much shock about his death. I didn't want to believe it. But understanding that his spirit lives, helps me to face the reality and say and be able to say goodbye. I didn't know him personally, but I felt like he had a huge impact on me. So this song, His Spirit Lives, is very important to my ability to accept reality and say goodbye. So I'm gonna go ahead and sing His Spirit Lives. First, let me know if you can hear. Can you hear? Okay. Yes, okay, see you. His walk on earth is done. We will not forget the light he showed to us. Yes, he lives. He lives in our lives. Yes, he lives. He lives in our lives. Even though I never got to meet him, yet he touched my life in a special way. And I know that to all of you gathered here now, his light must have shone so bright too. Don't we despair for our hero gone too soon? Oh, we take heart because we know His Spirit lives on. Though we may not see Him now, His walk on earth is done. We will not forget the love He showed to us. Yes, He lives in our lives. Ooh, yes, He lives in our lives. He lives in our memories. He lives forever. Oh, He lives in our lives. He we never see Him. Yet His work is done. We will never forget the love that He showed. Yes, He lives. Yes, He lives. Yes, He lives. Diego Makiese, you live. Yes, you live. You live in us. You live. Yes, He lives. He lives in us. David Diego Dikala Makiese. Truly you live forever. Let's just take 30 seconds and reflect on how his spirit lives in our lives. So let's just take a few seconds and reflect on how his spirit lives in our lives and what we're doing to keep his spirit and his mission alive. So, as I said earlier, knowing that his spirit lives in who we've become because of the knowledge he shared. His spirit lives in how we carry ourselves, how we refuse to shrink in a world that tries to gaslight us that we are less than. Knowing that his spirit lives make it easier to say goodbye. And I finally made peace with saying goodbye. And so this next song I'm gonna do is called I Bid You Good Night. It's a popular song, some of you might know it, but this is a customized version specifically for Diego. And if you know the chorus, go ahead and sing with me, sing along with me. And I want you to reflect on his impact and also think about any loved ones you might have lost. And, think that they're together and think about wishing them a good night in this next song. I bid you good night. Lay down, my dear brother, lay down and take your rest. I want to lay your hand upon your maker's breast. I love you, but the Most High loves you best. I bid you good night, good night, good night. Oh, I bid you good night, good night, good night. Lay down, our dear brother, lay down and take your rest. We wanna lay your head with your ancestors blessed. We love you, that the Most High loves you best. We bid you good night, good night, I bid you good night, good night. Kinshasa, I tell my folks good night, good night. 1990, a story beautifully told. Good night, Diego Makiese, a legacy so bright. In the book of life, your name so brightly shines. A brother, a son, a teacher, a leader so bright. Guided with love, these communities life. Replanting Africa across the region beyond. Legacy in our hearts, a force for good. Battling trials and tests your mental minds. courage, conviction, and love in every line. An African fire in his heart. Lay down, our dear brother. Lay down and take your rest. We wanna lay your head with your ancestors blessed. We love you, but the Most High loves you best. We bid you good night, good night, good night. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I bid you good night, good night. From Congo to the road, his influence spread. Good night, good night. Your digital family is here to say good night, good night. Creators and truth seekers worldwide wish you good night. To a hero of Africa, we wish you good night, good night. Your family is here tonight. Oh, we wish you good night, good night. Oh, we wish you good night, good night, good night. Oh, we wish you good night, good night. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, for gracing the stage. We know Diego's up in paradise, enjoying all those beautiful tunes. So at this point, in the memorial, what we want to do, I think we've had all of the individuals who want to speak or who are available to speak. I know King. I don't know if King wanted to say something to close off, but at this point, this would be kind of like an open discussion, for the everybody on the panel to be able to, have a conversation, closing thoughts, about the ways that we want to continue the legacy. I'm already thinking of certain things in terms of like enshrining him, both culturally, scholastically, and I'm going to continue to use Makiese, the Makiese legacy, as opposed to his online moniker, in just terms of the way that we approach this data, from reconstructions in King's case, just to the analysis of classical and contemporary Africa in my case. And, at the same token, helping the fund to be able to retain all the assets, the digital assets. That's going to be an ongoing process of us working together to make sure that happens. Right. But I just want to say that this isn't over. This is going to be a continued process, and we're going to continue our work with the Makiese family, just to never forget, Diego's legacy. So that's what I have as far as this part is concerned. And I think that, we have a little bit, in the closing segment, we have a little bit in the docket. But I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to both Christelle and Seche, and then anybody else who wants to speak before we, are able to have this open panel and then close this off.
Yes, let's have anyone who wants to speak. Go ahead. I've been doing a lot of talking.
I've been doing a lot of talking too. And I think that it goes in the continuity of what we have been saying the whole time. I've been very emotional while translating everything and listening to the various his stories of Diego as a human being, to see that he was struggling sometimes, that it was a lot for him to carry alone, especially, makes it important for me to find a way to connect all those who do this work. I mean, listening to the King's monologue or Kamji or Trill Black talking about the retaliations, the fights. It's really important that we keep those who did this work connected and that they know that we have their back, because the work that they are doing is not just important, it is essential. Diego paved the way, Mr. Imhotep paved the way, but I think that he wouldn't be happy if we didn't continue. As the mother of a black child, and my best friend being from the Caribbean, I have the opportunity to see our history in a different light. It's pretty much the same thing all over the world, maybe on the motherland, in the West Indies, United States, or Great Britain. And it's important that these children know, because when you know where you are coming from, there is nothing that people can do to rattle you. You are focused, you are grounded, and you can do. It's not about, I think that we are not here to try to convince people. It's not the attitude that we should have now. It's about telling our own stories, but to build. We are not trying to convince anybody. We are not trying to be recognized. We don't want that. We don't need that. What we need is to raise strong children, resilient children, but children who are happy to be what they are without having to code switch too, because this is something that we do, unfortunately, because we want to be accepted. And I don't want that. I want my son to be who he is and to do what he wants without having to take into consideration that he might bruise the ego of people. And I don't want him to think that he's lesser than. So in my opinion, the work that he has done, the work that you guys are doing is important. And for everybody listening, if you can subscribe to their channels, if you can listen to what they say, if you can contribute to the fundraiser that we started, do that, because they are the spare of a fight. You know, we cannot just seek we cannot just live the way we do if the basic or the root problem hasn't been solved. We really need to do that. But I don't want to talk a lot. I did a lot already. This is what I personally can add to what have been said today. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's very well stated. And I agree 100%. As the father of two young boys, I bought Mr. Imhotep's books and, shared them, with my sons, and, watching them read the stories and, the pride that they have. I mean, we didn't have things like that when I was growing up. And so just really thankful and grateful for, having tools to be able to really convey our history and pass that along to the next generation. I think that's one of the great gifts and one of the legacies that was left for us by Diego. I also think it's interesting that a number of us are engineers and architects here that, we've kind of, I don't know what it is, but there's something about his work that touched all of us in a very particular way. And sort of brought everybody together. And I think that that's really special too. And the fact that, his moniker, Diego's moniker, was Mr. Imhotep. You know, he was the father of architecture and medicine and building and so many other things. I just think that that's really cool. I think King has an engineering and building background, and I think Kamji, Sister Sechi, I think you had mentioned you have an engineering background. I just think that it's there's something really interesting about that connection that I want to explore.
And Crystal is a medical doctor. Crystal is a medical doctor. Yeah.
Couldn't be any more perfect, right?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, James.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I mean, it speaks to our responsibility, you know, to change the narrative, you know, because with so many professionals in this space, you know, it is our responsibility for the future to make sure that, you know, none of our children, as Malcolm X stated, would be educated by the enemy. So it's just inspiring for me to be in this space and to be able to host, you know, this space and to be able to bridge the gap, like linguistically, you know, culturally, ethnically, spiritually. Because as Diego said, he was about unity. You know, he was about unification, and we just have to continue that here in everything that we do.
Thank you, Kamji. The only king in the house.
Hi. I just had a question for Kamji. The excellent documentary you did about the life of Mr. Imhotep, is that live already? Is that going live on the channel?
I'm gonna post it after this live. I'm gonna post it. It'll be available for everybody after the live.
Yeah, I think that's good. It's really good. It would be nice for everybody to see that. I don't have much else to add. That's what I have to think about. I don't have much more to add. I'm very much sort of big shoes to fill. That's it. I'm not going to say too much. I won't stop mentioning him. So, his legacy is safe. Every time I'm doing a reconstruction, I'll probably find an excuse to give credit to his legacy.
Thank you. Thank you, King. And thanks again, King, because, it was through you that I got to the rest of the people who helped with this. Besides Kamji, you created that first tribute, and I came there and made an announcement, and then some people were able to sign up, and I made an announcement on Trio Black's channel too, and James was able to join us, and Kamji was with us from the start. I wouldn't have been able to do this on my own. Like, Mr. Imhotep is such a huge personality and has such huge impact. Doing this is not only time consuming, but it's emotionally heavy. It's very emotionally heavy, getting to know the real person that was behind the moniker and his history and everything, and also learning some about the circumstances of his death and just different things the family has been dealing with and different things we've been dealing with. I would not have been able to do it on my own. So thank you for having created that space, for me to come talk about this. And thank you also to the rest of the team, Christelle, Joe, James, Joy, Sekou, and Weska Willie was with us for a bit. I hope I didn't miss a name. Yeah. Oh, Kamji, of course. He's like the main. Thank you. And this also inspired me to finally start my own channel. Well, it wouldn't be matching exactly Mr. Imhotep and Camgivers and Kings channel, but it'll be some of similar content. But I don't have the tech skills to do the kind of things they do. But I'll be coming at it from my own perspective. So if you want to follow that, you can go to It's Just Ideas. That's my name. That's my handle on the screen right now. And I think I'm gonna take some time to record the songs that I just did for Mr. Imhotep, and I'll post those on my YouTube channel as well. But that will be on my music YouTube channel, which is Queen Seche. So if you want to find this later, I'll post them up there at some point. It might take me a week or two to finally get to it. But yeah, you can find that at Queen Seche. And TKM, thank you too for encouraging a lot of creators, including myself, to start our own channel and continue this work. All right, Mr. Victor, Madame Makiese.
If they could give some last words to close us out.
Okay.
On est là.
Papa Victor, maman Nicole, vous voulez dire quelque chose?
Bon, s'il y a quelque chose à dire, c'est que, comme il y a un proverbe africain qui dit, l'enfant, quand aussi longtemps qu'il est dans le ventre de sa mère, il appartient à sa mère. Mais dès qu'il est en dehors de sa mère, il appartient à tout le monde. Nous, on ne se connaissait pas. Non. Diego est devenu votre enfant, s'il faut le dire. Et je comprends maintenant que pourquoi il se battait pour sa communauté. Il disait, papa, je dois publier. Aujourd'hui, la communauté attend. La communauté attend, je dois écrire, les gens attendent. Et je comprends. La place qu'il a occupée, qu'il occupe dans vos cœurs et dans nos cœurs. On a versé des larmes tout au long du moment qu'on a passé ensemble. Deux fois des larmes de tristesse, deux fois des larmes de joie. Nous vous disons merci. Du fond de nos cœurs, nous vous disons merci. God bless you. Que le Seigneur se souvienne de vous. Merci. Nicole? Maman Nicole?
Okay.
Nicole?
Oui, je voulais juste vous dire merci de tout cœur. Et vous... Ben, je suis là, c'est ce que je suis en train de dire. Merci de tout cœur. Voilà, et que Diego restera jamais gravé aussi dans nos cœurs. Et ses œuvres parleront pas seulement de lui, mais de toute la communauté africaine. Soyez tous bénis et que la lumière luise.
So, Mr. Makiese started with saying that there is an African proverb that says that as long as the child is in his mother's womb, he is his mother's child. when he's born, he is everybody's child, and in that regard, he is our child. He's our brother. He's family basically. So there were tears. Yeah, there were tears of joy. There were tears of sadness during this virtual vigil, and they now realize how important his work was, what an impact he had on people. And he used to tell him that people need, there is a need for what he's doing. He cannot stop. He has to do what he's doing. And he didn't understand at that time, but now he does. Now he does. His mother is thanking the community too. She obviously misses her son, and she will always do. But his work, his legacy, will talk for him and will, be spread and prosper. And she blesses us all, and that the light shine upon us. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mama Nicole and Papa Victor. So, and I did forget to mention a couple other creators who help us get the word out. There's Kame Ethics and Without History as well. And Saneta TV that let me come on their channel also to talk about the vigil. So thank you all. I just want to remind everyone again about the fundraiser that we're doing. So help us spread the word, help us share it, because we've already lost access to his Patreon. You know, they say it's gone forever, all the content, everything gone. And he had his most some of his most prized stuff on Patreon, and you know some other of his social media accounts have disappeared. So it's very important that we help the family secure his digital assets and keep them
And
alive.
on that point, Seche, real quickly, 4K downloader is what I spoke about in our previous meeting. Everybody in the audience, if you would like to download, Mr. Imhotep's assets, 4K downloader is a program. It's a software that allows you to download all of the videos from a YouTube channel at once. So it could happen really, really quickly with, as short as a few hours. So I would recommend that you get 4K downloader, as many people as possible. I'm actually going to do it after this and just download all of the content so that it's never forgotten and we'll always have it stored.
Thank you, Cam Gervais. And then also remember, Cam Gervais, please put again in the chat the link to the part 2 of this. Where I know lots of people have lots of questions.
Yeah, it's pinned in my stream.
Okay.
But I could post it again in the private chat.
Okay. Yeah, so just remember that one would be a broadcast or a panel. That one's going to be open to everyone to speak, in community. We're really healing community, and then we can really talk more there about other ways to move the walk forward and so on. Let me make sure I've covered every last housekeeping. We've talked about session 2 and thanked everyone. And one thing we had also discussed is, doing this annually. Maybe doing this annually in February, so that we just, as a reminder of the severity and importance of the walk, and so we could stay connected. Of course, we could have other touch points besides the annual commemoration, but yeah, we spoke about possibly doing this commemoration annually as a way to just remember what a great loss and what a great gift he was and continues to be. And we can discuss that more too in our follow-up that will be happening on March 21st. Again, the Zoom link is there for you to register. Please make sure you register. Have I covered every last housekeeping thing?
Yeah, that looks like really it's just the memorial, which we talked about, the fundraiser, which we've talked about, and then just any other concerns. But we were right at the point that I said we would be 3 hours. With that, I appreciate everyone just from joining, just supporting the Makiese family and all of the contributors as far as the organization committee is concerned. Again, the work is not done. This is only the beginning. And as I stated before, we're going to enshrine, the Makiese name in the annals of God, in the annals of our ancestors, and the annals of our history, our divine authority. So with that stated, I don't know if I was thinking about it. I think I'm gonna play the eulogy again just to close us off.
Okay. I was wondering, Cam G, when you stop going, when you go off live, we can still be here, but it won't just be on the live TV.
Sure. I'm gonna play it one last time, and then I'm gonna end it, and then you could stay here and chat about it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Imhotep.
Let's see. Sorry about that.
Diego Makiese, known to the world as the educator and visionary Mr. Imhotep, was a man whose life was a testament to intellectual fervor, unwavering perseverance, and a profound love for Africa. Born on February 18, 1990, in Kinshasa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, his journey was one of relentless pursuit of knowledge and truth. From his earliest days, Diego was a child aglow with an intellectual fire. Described as studious, curious, and fiercely determined, he set an example for his peers. His competitive spirit was not about defeating others, but about outdoing himself. A telling childhood anecdote recounts his friendly academic rivalry with his cousin. They would constantly fight for the title of first in class. So driven was Diego that being in second place troubled him, leading him to pledge to his father to redouble his efforts, a promise he kept. This early rivalry unexpectedly reconnected and strengthened family ties, setting a pattern for Diego's ability to build through challenge. His childhood environment in a Christian household instilled in him a strong sense of integrity, justice, and a hatred for lies and injustice. Family trips to the library nurtured a lifelong passion for reading. He would often have to be persuaded to leave and would bring stacks of books home. Fascinated by technology from a young age, he was always at the forefront, possessing the latest computers and video games. His creative genius was evident early on when he created a flipbook animation, complete with his own voiceover, leaving his family in awe.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
At the age of 13, Diego moved from Congo to France, a difficult transition that meant leaving his friends and family world behind. He excelled academically, but his path was not without significant obstacles. In Parisian schools and later at university, he faced racism, injustice, and envy from his peers and professors, threatened by his academic prowess and strong character. He once received unfairly low marks despite nights of revision, pushing him to the brink of quitting. He told himself that he would try this one last time, and if he failed, he would abandon his studies. His final attempt earned him the top mark in his year's final exam. This triumph solidified his resilience, and he began to call himself Terminator, a persona reflecting his unstoppable nature. He initially pursued higher education in economics, international money, banking, and finance, coming within 1 year of completing his master's degree. However, a profound personal awakening would soon redirect his life's mission. The pivotal turning point in Diego's life occurred on July 14, 2013, during a visit to the Louvre Museum in Paris with his cousin. Confronted with the artifacts of ancient Kemet, his initial skepticism about their African origins melted away. Seeing the clear African features in the statues of Asar and the other pharaohs, he was revolted and indignant at the historical fabrication that had degraded African people. He erupted with passion, instructing his cousin to film the evidence, exclaiming, "We have to show this to people. I didn't know that." That night, he dove into deep research and a new path was set. He later wrote, "I felt that Africa was calling me." He made the courageous decision to abandon his near-complete master's degree to dedicate his entire life to researching and teaching authentic African history. Adopting the moniker Mr. Imhotep in the late 2010s, after the renowned ancient African polymath, Diego embarked on his life's work. He saw the teaching of African history as a crucial tool to combat the racist myths and ontological amnesia inflicted upon people of African descent. His mission was to rebrand Africa, to change both the world's perception of Africa and Africa's perception of itself. He was motivated by a profound sense of justice and the belief that we are gods who had been lied to for generations. He aimed to provide socioeconomic, political, and technological solutions for Africa's emergence, believing that positive change could only begin with a positive self-perception rooted in an accurate historical consciousness. He toiled meticulously, often working 24/7, driven by the feedback from his global community and the desire to save the next generation, stating, "Our generation is already rotten, but the next one must be saved." Behind the serious scholar was a man of great warmth, humor, and diverse interest. Diego was a loving and protecting brother, a confidant, and a coach who always sought to bring out the best in his family and friends. He was known for his hilarious impersonations and his talent for lightening the mood. His interests were vast. He was a skilled guitarist and singer, a photography enthusiast, and a fan of football, combat sports, and fitness. He loved deep, complex films by directors like Quentin Tarantino and Miyazaki, and his musical taste was eclectic, ranging from Muse and Kanye West to Amy Winehouse and Michael Jackson. He was deeply interested in neuroscience, psychology, nutrition, and alternative worldviews, always seeking to understand the human mind and condition. Feeling constrained and stifled by the racism he experienced in France, Diego sought freedom and new perspectives in Asia. He traveled to Vietnam, where he continued his work with his characteristic dedication. Tragically, his journey was cut short, and he passed away in 2024 at the age of 34. Diego Makiese's legacy is immense. Through his videos, social media posts, and his series of children's books, Musicons Africains, he touched millions of lives. He hoped to be remembered for restoring truth and for his unwavering work to rebrand Africa. His family wishes the world to see him as a hero of Africa, a man of integrity who dedicated his life and discipline and love to restoring the honor of African people so they may be respected and never humiliated again. David Makiese's final message, echoed in his life work, is a call to action, to be proud of your identity, to spread the truth of your history, and to never stop learning. Today, we remember Diego Makiese, affectionately known as Mr. Imhotep.
I looked and found all these pieces. People tend to use them as evidence. And that's true. There are many statues of ancient Egyptians that are entirely white. But here is the issue: that's not their original state. This issue actually concerns all the art of antiquity, especially in ancient Greece and Rome. Their statues were originally painted, but they have been whitewashed later. But let's go back to our topic. Let's take this statue for example. It's clearly white, right? But when we zoom in, here's what we see. Do you notice these traces of dark brown pigments? These are traces of its original hue. This statue wasn't originally white. It lost its color with time. Here are other examples. You can see the same issue. So, basically, the Kemites never depicted themselves white-skinned. We've all heard of the so-called black pharaohs from Kush. These pharaohs are presented as the only black pharaohs, as if the others were not black. The problem is that as soon as we really start studying Kemet in depth, it becomes obvious that there have never been any indigenous white pharaohs, despite what we've been told. However, when looking at ancient Egyptian art, it's obvious that a great majority, if not all, of the pharaohs and the majority of their people were dark-skinned, and I can support that statement with these images. Here we see that the ancient Egyptians sculpted their rulers in stone, and they sculpted black and dark-skinned people. We can all see it. So, most people live in an illusion that ancient Egyptians were white or at least not black. In the excerpt, Meta challenged me to prove things to him, while he shows no evidence of the opposite. The most problematic aspect of his claims is that, by framing them in this manner, he implies that the indigenous inhabitants of that African country weren't black. This creates the false impression that Kemet was a multiracial civilization with modern Europeans, Arabs, Indians, and then a minority of black people. It suggests that black Egyptians were merely one among several groups in a civilization that belonged to some mysterious non-black original race. So, every race was indigenous and contributed to the making of that civilization. Thus, he completely inverts the historical narrative. Since he spent nearly 90% of his response video to say that he wasn't a liar, I will assume that it is simply due to a lack of knowledge regarding ancient Egyptian history.
Who were the ancient Ethiopians? According to ancient Greeks, Ethiopians were blameless, the tallest and handsomest men. They were the first humans and the first to worship the gods. The gods were so pleased by their piety that they never let them be conquered by foreign nations. They even said that Egyptians were Ethiopian colonists led by King Osiris. Most people believe that it's about this Ethiopia. But this is how Greeks portrayed those Ethiopians. Nothing to do with these Ethiopians. Ethiopian means burnt faces. It designated all black Africans living directly south and west of Egypt. Modern Ethiopia was then known as Aksum. When invaded, Egyptians fled to ancient Ethiopia, which is Nubia or Kush. There, they regrouped with their fellow Africans to fight back. No foreign nation had ever conquered the Black Coalition, until King Ezana of Aksum, who joined forces with Romans in Egypt, attacked them, creating two fronts. Ethiopia fell, and Ezana proclaimed himself King of Ethiopia. That's how Aksum usurped that identity and became known as Ethiopia. Subscribe and activate the bell. What most people don't know about Egypt and Nubia. In the 1960s, the Egyptian government decided to build a dam on the Nile near Aswan. But there was one major problem. Historic sites near the river would be submerged. That's why a group of archaeologists led by Dr. Keith C. Seal traveled to Qustul in Nubia to save relics before the flood. What they discovered exceeded their wildest dreams. Tombs 10 times the size of Egypt's pharaohs, containing 10 times as much pottery, vessels, pallets, mace heads, and other valuable objects. These tombs would be considered royal in Egypt, and further investigation revealed that these kings reigned 600 years before Egypt's first pharaohs. The most important was hundreds of clearly pharaonic images, especially an incense burner depicting all traditional pharaonic symbols like a king wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt. This is the earliest depiction of that crown. It proves that the first pharaohs were Nubians who spread northward, as taught in the Egyptian Edfu texts. This information is hidden because it proves that black Africans created Egypt. Who were the Natufians? The Tufians were the original inhabitants of the Middle East. They lived in countries like Israel, Jordan, Syria, Palestine, Turkey, and are known to be the inventors of agriculture 12,500 years ago. That invention triggered the development of first civilizations in all these areas. They are also the first people to make bread. Several biologists like Iosif Lazaridis and Nadine Roland studied their bodies. They found out that the indigenous people from the Middle East had Y chromosomes of African origin, and that they didn't experience Neanderthal admixture. It made them different from all other later populations in the Levant. In other words, they were black African explorers who settled in the area after the last ice age. Their haplogroup, E1b1, is the main haplogroup inside the African continent today. In its original form, it's almost exclusively found among black African populations from countries such as Ghana, Ethiopia, Burkina Faso, Senegal, South Africa, Gambia, Cameroon, Tanzania, and even among some African Americans. So, we can say that Africans invented agriculture. Do you know this mysterious dog breed? They were highly prized not only for their intelligence and athleticism, but also for their unique vocalizations, which is characterized by a lack of barking. Depicted in literature and artwork in Kemet, they were used for hunting and guarding roles. Kemites believed that they had magical abilities, could speak with the gods, and that they had healing properties. As time passed, the true origins of that breed became a mystery. Some experts believed that they had always been native to Egypt. But where did these mysterious dogs truly come from? In the late 1800s, Europeans discovered a new breed of dog in Africa. Locals called them Basenji. After examining them, they noticed a remarkable likeness to dogs seen in Kemetic artwork, but also in cave drawings from as early as 6000 BC all over North Africa. They both had curled tails and prick ears. It was the pharaoh's breed. But something else grabbed their attention. Contrary to their beliefs, the Basenjis did not originate in Egypt. They originated in Central Africa, notably the Congo area. Another piece of evidence supporting the connection between Kemet and Inner Africa are Egyptologists lying about ancient Egypt. In 2012, Zahi Hawass and the Egyptian government conducted research on Ramses III's mummy. It was the first study of this quality on royal mummies. They discovered that the king was murdered through a plot fomented by one of his wives. The results were widely publicized, but some key details remained hidden. The relationship between the king and a nearby mummy was determined using genetic kinship analyses. The man was Ramses' son. Both were Y-DNA E1b1 carriers, the most common haplogroup in Black Africa. Surprisingly, that info never made the news. Something unusual, since they've been flooding us with studies on non-royal mummies lately. A decade later, Zahi Hawass admitted that the skulls and complexions of Kemites resembled those of Black Africans.
Looks like African. No, they were dark skinned, but they were not black. But they're not nigger.
And we now know he is aware that many Egyptian pharaohs were genetically linked to Black Africans. Regardless, he insists that they were not black. So, yes, experts are lying about Kemet.